Hi, and welcome to Speakers Bank Seniors Podcast, Our Voices, Our Views. This is again your host, Mimi Lorelia of Anecto. And today we have one of our very fantastic carer speakers and one of our senior speakers, Loretta Martin. So Loretta, say hi to our audience today.
Thank you so much for having me, Mimi, and hello.
So it's not really that you are a guest, you are a member of the Speakers Bank family. But for the podcast, I'm excited to tell you that we're also developing this show to also assist seniors out there that may need some more information about the everyday things that they may not know about. And one of the more important aspects of life after 50, after 60, is the issue of carers. Okay, so people have this idea that you become a carer for older people without being formally inducted into it. So it just happens to your life. But sometimes you become a carer for a family member with a disability or with an injury, even when they're still at the younger stages of their life. For example, you had a child that was just born, and all of a sudden you realize the child needs more support and will not become independent for the rest of their life. So caring comes at different stages of one's life. So just to give our audience a little bit of a context, how did you come about being a carer and who was it for?
Well, it was all sudden. I had no idea that that was going to happen to me and that was my husband was going to go blind. But when it happened, if you have any depth and love for the person that it's happened to, it's just something that comes to you and you work on it. And I look back now and I think I didn't even give it a thought. It happened and I lived for the moment. And live for the moment, don't worry about the past or the future. And then each step you take takes you forward.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of getting onto one thing and that one thing then goes on.
Okay.
It's a process.
Right. So you mentioned about Bill and him being blind, and how long was that caring role? How long did it take you to be in that role?
It's a slow process, but you get stuck into it straight away because you don't have an option.
You didn't think of hiring or getting an external person to look after Bill?
No, I never gave it a thought because the first thing you think of, you love the person, it's your responsibility. They're not asking you to look after them, but you have chosen to look after them.
Okay, so the message that I'm getting from that thing that you just said is sometimes we become a carer because it's just out of love.
Yeah.
You don't really look at it like some kind of a burden. It just comes naturally to you, which is good.
Yeah.
But for some people, maybe caring role is not for them, meaning they don't see themselves looking after the person, they don't have the mental capacity.
Yeah.
What can you say for people that may not be in a position to do caring?
Well, that's a very important question you've asked me because I always think about it. And I think what you have to do is weigh what your feelings are. Because if you don't want to do it, I'm giving you the negative part first, is that you're going to, if you don't want to do it and you have to do it, then you're unhappy and the client is unhappy. So you've got to gauge how much do you really want to do it and weigh it up. And if you don't want to do it, you don't want yourself to be unhappy because there'll be two sick people and you don't want the patient to be unhappy. So you have to choose and weigh up the pros and cons of living at home and looking after him or putting him into care and looking after him.
Right. So when you first started, so you're like this new mom
Yeah.
that had a baby and you don't even have a manual to tell you how to look after Bill, for example. What were the available support systems at that time that you realized was most helpful for you? Or that you didn't realize that was available or was non-existent. So can you tell us a bit about your experience?
My first step was the social worker because that was my only contact and I was nonplussed. But whilst he was in hospital unconscious and on life support for like 3 weeks when he had the first stroke, he still had his well-being, but he was totally blind. And that time I was able to contact organizations. Social workers gave me the first step forward and said, contact this organization. You might get government help, you might not. You do this, you do that, do the other. So you list it up and you go home and you start thinking, I better move. It's urgent. Get going. or you're stranded. So then I made phone calls.
Right.
And then I found out, yes, I can get help. So many hours a week was better than nothing. I don't have time to vacuum and mop floors. So that was the first step. You get someone in to help you to do your housework. And then the next step is you're going to be working on the patient all the time. You need a break. You're human. So you get hours to help you to have a break. Go out and go dancing or go to the movies. Just a couple of hours to keep your mind clear.
Yeah. Were your children active in the caring process as well at that time, or was it principally you that's responsible for looking after
to be honest with you, I'm resilient. And the first thing I wanted to do is, it's a job I've got to do and I'm going to do it. End of story. I'm not going to burden anybody. Even now, in my own case of osteoarthritis, I'm not asking anyone to help me. I make an effort, I've got to do it, I've got to walk, and I have to do it.
Yeah. So in another episode, I was talking to Diane, and she said, no matter what your age, as long as you keep moving, keep working, keep active, it's going to help your general health and well-being anyway. So and no matter how sometimes you don't feel like doing it, you still have to do it. I like your story about resilience. At the times when you think that you were very tired looking after you, like physically and mentally, were there any diversions or anything that you set for yourself to reinvigorate and recharge, re-energize yourself?
Definitely, there's a lot you can do. The first thing in your life you've got to consider is your physical well-being. Because if your physical well-being is good, then your mental outlook is good as well. But if you're weak in this regard, you can't go on the second and third step. So importantly is you've got to have sleep, and you've got to make sure that you have make time to go to sleep. Maybe when Bill is sleeping, you do sleep. Maybe when you've got a carer come in, chalk out an hour or two where you can just go to bed and have a sleep. And if your sleep pattern is good and your diet is good, diet is an important factor. You've got to eat well and look after yourself, because what you eat and drink today walks and talks tomorrow.
Yeah, that's a nice thing to advise the audience. So the other question I have is, because you're now definitely more experienced as a result of that lifelong experience, what will you say for a younger Loretta now? If you were to change things that you've done, or you wouldn't change things, what would you further advise so that other carers can benefit from that information?
You've got to eat well. You've got to look after your body. Your body is important. And the one thing I tell people, your body is your temple. And if you don't look after it, no one else is going to look after it.
Right. So I think those are wise words, words of wisdom. So I know that there's not enough time to discuss caring, but we just want to poke the emotions and the sensitivities of people who might be in a similar situation but have not fully realized the impact of their role.
But one thing I must say, when I go to the shopping centers, I see all these elderly people sitting and having coffee and donuts. That has to be out.
Right.
Maybe once in 2 months or once a month. You have to learn to eat well.
And that would be a subject for another episode. So for now, we'll just say let's have fun having to talk about caring, because it's a very dignified and a very important role. And we'll see you at the next episode. So Loretta, can you say bye for them? Bye for now.
Bye for now, and thank you for listening.
Yeah, thank you for listening. We'll see you in the next episode.